What if grizzly bears were introduced into the Amazonian rainforest? The Amazonian rainforest is a scary place to be at night. All those noises, the chittering, the growling, the roaring. The Amazonian rainforest is filled with predators, and we're about to drop one more into the mix, the grizzly bear. Easier said than done, but what if grizzly bears were introduced into the Amazonian rainforest? It's a big rainforest with a lot going on, but this is a big animal we're talking about. Tearing it out of its environment and dropping it into a totally different environment with an ecosystem that isn't ready to be disrupted. But who will be disrupted more, the rainforest or the grizzly bear? Grizzly bears. Okay, we're going to be moving grizzly bears to the Amazonian rainforest, but maybe we should first learn a little bit about them. For instance, where are we moving them from? Where do they live? Well, grizzly bears are actually a subspecies of the brown bear, a subspecies that lives in North America. Grizzly bears have been around since the Pleistocene era. When you look back at those times, and even in decades and centuries past, grizzly bears spanned much of North America. They spanned as far south as Mexico and as far north as northern Canada and Alaska. Their population and their territory has shrunk since then, limiting them mainly to colder regions. For the past 100 years or so, they span much of western Canada, along with Alaska, and there are populations in Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, and Washington. The reason behind the shrinking of their territory has more to do with hunting and the advancement of civilization more than anything else. Their territory is smaller, but they are still large. Grizzly bears by the coastal areas tend to be the larger ones, and grizzly bears are one of the larger subspecies of brown bear. The males will often weigh over 850 pounds. Their total length is between 6 feet long and 8 feet long, and they aren't just long. Even when standing on all fours, their shoulder height is about 40 inches, about 3.5 feet tall. So if the average person is standing next to the average grizzly bear, and that grizzly bear is on all fours, its shoulder will be well past half the height of the person. And if that grizzly bear is standing on its back legs, then that average person better run. Oh, but is running really going to save you? Well, unless you are an Olympic track star, forget it, you're still going to be in trouble. For one, if you run away from a grizzly bear, they will pursue most times, and they will pursue with malicious intent. And you may think the 850-pound bear is going to be slow, too fat to catch you. Incorrect. Grizzly bears are not only muscular, but they have devastating speed. They've been recorded hitting speeds of 30 miles per hour in Yellowstone, and there are reports of them hitting speeds of up to 35 miles per hour. Usain Bolt is the person who has recorded the fastest running speed by a human. That speed was 27.3 miles per hour, and you are not Usain Bolt, and even Bolt would be in trouble. You might think that you should try to climb a tree to escape the pursuing grizzly bear. Bad idea. They can climb trees too. That might have something to do with those claws that are 2 to 4 inches long. You better hope those claws get nowhere near you. So, who is the unfortunate soul that those claws do get close to? Diet and other things. To be an animal that a grizzly bear considers food, that's a rough life. But grizzly bears aren't strictly carnivores. They're omnivores, meaning they eat both animals and plants. One of a grizzly bear's favorite foods is fish. They also will scavenge for food at times, finding dead animals from another predator's kill, or just an animal that met its end. But if they need to, grizzly bears have been known to take down larger animals like deer, elk, caribou, bighorn sheep, bison, moose, and black bears. It's no shock that they can have their pick of the litter with their size, strength, speed, and don't forget the claws. However, when it comes to the more dangerous prey, like moose and bison, grizzly bears play it smart. They don't go after the full-grown bulls. No, even though they may be able to win a battle, it's a battle that they'd come out of far from unscathed. So grizzly bears are actually excellent at stalking and remaining hidden if they need to. They've been seen stalking herds and taking cover behind various objects and waiting for the right moment to pounce on weak members of the herd or calves. But don't forget, grizzly bears like their plants too, and they love berries. Whatever is in their area, whether it be blueberries, blackberries, cranberries, huckleberries, they'll eat them all. Interestingly, it's estimated that in some regions, 80 to 90% of a grizzly bear's diet comes from plant foods. All in all, they'll eat up to 30 pounds of food a day. One of the reasons they eat so much, besides their massive size, is because they need to store fat for the winter when they'll be hibernating. That is, if the weather calls for it. Nowadays, almost all grizzly bears live in areas where it gets cold during the winter, so they hibernate for several months. However, back when grizzly bears lived in places like California and Mexico, some of them didn't need to hibernate as the winters stayed moderate, so they didn't. They're fairly adaptable animals. We think of all grizzly bears needing to hibernate in present day, but that is because their environment calls for it. Now, speaking of environments, is it time to transport the grizzly bears to a new one, like the Amazonian rainforest? The Amazon. We know all about the grizzly bear now. It's time to learn more about his surroundings that he'll be submerged into. Now, whether we are talking about present day or way back in the Pleistocene era, grizzly bears have never come anywhere near the Amazon. It is much farther south than grizzly bears ever inhabited. Grizzly bears did live as far south as Mexico, northern Mexico that is. But the Amazon rainforest is located in South America, much farther south than Mexico. The Amazon is mainly located in Brazil, about 60% of it being there. There are also portions of the Amazon in Peru, Colombia, Bolivia, Ecuador, Guyana, Suriname, Venezuela, and French Guiana. Grizzly bears are used to 4 seasons. The Amazonian rainforest typically just does 2 seasons, the rainy season and the dry season. During the rainy season, the temperature is typically 78 degrees Fahrenheit and has a relative humidity of about 88%. During the dry season, we're looking at an average 82 degrees Fahrenheit and a relative humidity of about 77%. So, the Amazon is hot year-round, and a lot of the year it's extremely humid. The rest of the year it's still pretty humid. That dry season isn't particularly dry, more of a relative term, and the Amazonian rainforest is diverse. It is said that 1 in 10 known species in the world live in the Amazon. Let's hope the grizzly bear doesn't get lost in the shuffle when we bring him there. But currently there are at least 40,000 plant species, over 2,000 species of fish, over 1,200 species of birds, over 400 species of mammals, over 400 species of amphibians, and over 300 species of reptiles. That's a lot of animals. There are sloths, there are several species of deer, and there are tapirs. And if we're talking about predators, there are green anacondas, black caimans, jaguars, cougars, electric eels, and piranhas. With so many species in the Amazonian rainforest, some predators, some prey, some acting as both, it's a delicate balance and a delicate ecosystem. The animals that live there know what to expect. They are aware of everything they need to be mindful of every day. They are aware of all and any dangers, and they know who poses a threat. We are about to disrupt all of that. Get the heavy-duty helicopter. We need to transport an 850-pound grizzly bear out of Alaska and fly him down to the Amazon. Maybe we will bring a few grizzly bears. Either way, things are going to get interesting. The bear is here. The grizzly bears have landed. They're here in the Amazonian rainforest, a lot of new trees and plants surrounding them, and a big river nearby. They look confused, but we're going to see if and how they adjust. It's hotter here than the grizzly bears are used to, more humid too, maybe not by as much as you'd expect. Sure, the 78 to 82 degree heat is hot for a grizzly bear, but even in Alaska, there are times when it reaches 67 degrees in the summer. But grizzly bears inhabit warmer places too. Not to mention, the grizzly bear had ancestors living in California and Mexico. It's in the DNA of the grizzly bear to adjust to these things. By the way, you might think the humidity is a problem for a grizzly bear from a place like Alaska, but did you know Alaska is on average one of the most humid states in the US? Yes, it has an average relative humidity of 77%. Right away, the grizzly bear knows it won't have to hibernate. That's a load off. It can eat as it wishes, but it doesn't need to load up for the winter. But hold on, let's go back to that eats as it wishes part. What is the grizzly bear going to eat? Well, we mentioned there are over 40,000 plant species in the Amazon, and grizzly bears can have their diet consisting of 80 to 90% plant foods. So that's a good start. We're confident they'll be able to find some plants in the Amazon that are a good food source for them, as long as they can avoid any poisonous ones, which there are plenty of. Bears love a variety of berries, and there are plenty of berries in the Amazon. They may be finding some different and more exotic berries. Perhaps they'll be snacking on camu camu or acai. What else do grizzly bears love to eat? Fish. Did we mention over 2,000 species of fish? Maybe the grizzlies will want to avoid the piranha and be mindful of the electric eels and the black caimans in the water. Then again, 850 pounds of big old grizzly bear is difficult to take down. These animals will be cautious of him too. If the fish and the berries and the plant life isn't enough, there are other animals that grizzly bears could stalk and take down if need be. Like the several types of deer and tapirs for starters. There are plenty of rodents, including the world's biggest rodent, the capybara. There are definitely plenty of opportunities, especially if the grizzly bear happens upon some other predator's kill. How will that go down? Well, maybe a grizzly bear will come face to face with a jaguar or a cougar. A jaguar is nothing to bat an eye at. 350 pounds, however, that's a whole 500 pounds less than our grizzly bear from up north. If a jaguar sees a grizzly bear approaching and notices the size discrepancy between them, it will most likely be smart enough to flee the area. In fact, the grizzly bear will become the largest mammalian predator as soon as it steps foot in the Amazon. Black caimans can get to be very large, so that would be an opponent the grizzly will want to watch out for. But it seems like the grizzly bear will be able to adapt. It won't be easy. He'll need to tap into his inner ancestor, the one who lived in places like California and Mexico, the one who dealt with heat and sometimes humidity, the one who didn't have to hibernate. The grizzly bear will have plenty of options for food, all the plants and fruits he wants, plenty of animals to stalk, plenty of selection of fish as long as he is careful by the river. There is more danger in the rivers here than he is used to back home. And when it comes to danger, there are many predators existing here, so the grizzly bear needs to be cautious. But the grizzly bear is faster than many of these predators, and the ones he isn't faster than, he is heavier and stronger than. It's a delicate ecosystem in the Amazon. The grizzly bear may not become top dog right away, but he will be one of the top dogs. And with plenty of food to go around, he'll never be hungry. He's just got to watch that river.